You know, there isn't anything quite as human as this thing, right here. Our opposable thumbs, they're a pretty big deal. In fact, they're one of the top 3 evolutionary changes that drove us to the top of the food chain. Almost from day one, we've been protecting our hands. In fact, we've been inventing all kinds of different gloves to protect the most dexterous part of our anatomy. But what about one of the harshest environments? Space.
Gloves are vitally important up here. A good pair can mean the difference between life and death.
That suit under pressure is going to start leaking oxygen.
This guy knows what bad news leaks can be. For this reason, NASA makes their gloves strong, but it comes at a cost. Just ask Buzz Aldrin.
The gloves that we had, their heads got cramped, and after a while it would get rather tiring.
So they put out the call to both the pros and the public and asked, can you come up with a better space glove than we have?
I got good wrist mobility, it's allowing me to really swing away.
And it wasn't a team of eggheads that won this competition. It was one man, working out of his house in upstate Maine. That man's name is Peter K. Homer.
That's it. That's the eureka moment. I have it.
This recently unemployed father of 3 figured out a way to build a tougher and more flexible glove than anything that came before.
It's more than twice as good.
He did it with a little bit of elbow grease, some material he found online,
eBay or something like that.
eBay.
and some change he found laying around the house.
Material costs for this whole glove.
You probably have it in your pocket now.
February 2nd, 2007 was one of the worst days in Peter K. Homer's life. He was laid off from his job as executive director of a local recreation center. Money was tight, and Peter had to come up with something fast. What happened next sounds like something out of Hollywood. Peter's big brain kicked into high gear, and within 4 months, he had NASA's $200 grand in his pocket and the distinction of beating the space agency at its own game, all because of his remarkable invention, the space glove. Wow. And that's how the town of Southwest Harbor, Maine, got itself a bona fide celebrity.
Do you know who Peter Homer is?
No.
Except, not really.
We've never heard of it.
Do you know who he is?
No.
You know who Peter Homer is? One famous guy. Nobody knows who he is.
But I do. Peter lives 5 minutes south of Main Street. In the back of his house is where he shook the world of space travel.
So this is the shop. Come on in.
Oh, man. This is where the magic happens?
Yeah, this is it.
This is your space glove area right here.
I call this my dirty shop.
I'll bet you do. I guess I sort of thought that the guy that invented NASA's new space gloves would have a slightly cleaner place to work, that it would be more exacting. Has NASA seen your workshop?
No.
Like, you're not at all worried that they'll see this and maybe ask you to give some of the money back, right?
This is actually the very first glove that I built ever with all of the elements from the wrist all the way out to the fingers. Materials themselves are very basic and simple. This is something that I think ordered off of eBay or something like that.
eBay. And the material for the glove?
Also from eBay, it's a ripstop Dacron.
What about the space brass knuckles here?
Yeah.
That's expensive. That's fancy.
That's just 1/8" steel rod down from the hardware store.
Hey, you guys don't know who Peter Homer is, do you?
I do know of it. He invented the space glove.
Lives right around the corner
Lives
from
around
you.
here locally.
And apparently this was the hardware store where he got all his gear.
I think it was.
Yeah, and paid full retail for it, as I
Yes,
understand?
yes.
You didn't give him any deals?
No.
Even though he was sending people into space?
Right.
But let's back things up a little bit. This is astronaut Mike Massimino, who knows firsthand how hard it is to work in a spacesuit. He's the guy that had to fix the world's most expensive telescope, the Hubble, in May 2009.
The gloves are bulky, so you're fighting against the pressure and the stiffness of the gloves.
Mike had the simple job of removing a panel on the Hubble in space, and it took him like 17 hours.
We were trying to repair an instrument called the Space Telescope Imaging Spectrograph. It had 4 bolts, 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom. There was this one handrail in the way. 2 on the top came out easy. 1 on the bottom came out easy, and 1 on the bottom, I just couldn't get.
The bolt demanded a level of flexibility and dexterity his gloves just didn't have. Luckily, Mike came up with his own solution.
I gave it a couple tugs to fatigue it, and snap, it came right off.
I don't know how it all worked out, but apparently it did somehow.
The critical part of the glove, and the part that's the hardest to design, is the interior pressure suit portion. It has to maintain atmospheric pressure around your body, without which you'll soon be dead and freeze-dried.
They're the most important and most complex interface on that entire spacesuit.
It's gotten better over time, but there's always been lots of room for improvement. Good a reason as any to fire up a wide-open contest with a fat payday, the Centennial Challenge. The smart money was on this dream team. Nick Moiseev, designer of Russia's current and Soviet-era spacesuits. Author Gary Harris, who wrote the definitive book on spacesuits. And Pablo De Leon, professor of spacesuit design at the University of North Dakota. Heavy hitters or what? Except they all got their collective high-powered butts handed to them by this super-focused, unassuming guy from Southwest Harbor. He demonstrates for me using his homemade vacuum chamber, which mimics the vacuum of space.
See how the ribbons make kind of an X over each joint? As you move your finger, you see that creates a little hinge right there. It allows that tube of fabric to bend while restraining it from flying off, and that was the key.
And like so many good ideas, Pete's came in the middle of the night around a dining room table.
And I was just playing around, I had some tape, and I just started peeling bits of tape off and just sticking it on my hand and then kind of doing a make a fist, straighten out, and see if the tape would interfere with me doing that or not.
As the engineers at NASA will tell you, the problem is flexibility versus durability. When a glove is subjected to high pressure, every tiny seam is put under extreme stress. NASA has always gone with a banana joint, stitching the outside portion of the glove, which makes it durable, but not as flexible as a distinct joint. No one could figure out how to craft a distinct joint without the fingers blowing off the glove. Until Peter and some blue tape burnt the midnight oil together.
Eventually, I sort of started spiral wrapping it around. And when I did it, hey, well, I can bend my hand here. Now, it was like after midnight and I'm all alone, everybody's asleep, and I wind up with all this tape on my hand, but I can make a fist and straighten it out, and I'm like, that's it. That's the eureka moment, I have it. The little crisscrosser ribbon is the secret sauce that makes my gloves more flexible than the current gloves.
Peter was the only entrant to use this crisscross design, and the Dream Team couldn't believe how this simple configuration smoked their banana joint-inspired glove. Ted here also entered. He's a sculptor whose claim to fame is fabricating Victoria's Secret wings. He also witnessed the reaction when Peter won.
It was a surprise, for sure.
Apparently, Nick the Russian was pretty upset.
Everybody agree, Russian suit is best.
Everybody except all the people that were handing out $200,000 that day.
200 grand would put a smile on anyone's face, am I right? Except Peter's, apparently.
Has anyone in this family noticed that your father's range of facial expressions goes from this to this?
See, it's funny because actually one of the things I thought right afterwards is, I've never seen him smile that much.
Really?
You'd think he'd be beaming all the time. See, Peter didn't just win in 2007. In 2009, NASA had an outer layer glove contest, and he won that as well.
Received $250,000. Congratulations.
And the cost of Peter's crisscross revolutionary design?
Material costs for this whole glove.
You probably have it in your pocket now.
Really?
Yeah, but I haven't given the number out, so I don't want NASA to find out.
Who'd you like to see wearing your gloves?
Buzz Aldrin should give them a try, I think.
That Buzz Aldrin? Right
Buzz
there.
Aldrin.